Hello everyone and welcome back to Feel Good with me, and today I have a special guest with me here with Cindy. And I've seen a video on YouTube. It was like a news report about a lady, I believe, that passed away from severe ME, and how the parents asked for further inquiries, something along these lines. And in the comment on YouTube I left my sympathies to the family, and I've mentioned that I have a YouTube channel that talks about our experience, and if anyone would like to share the experience with us here on this podcast would be great. And Cindy wrote to me a really lovely email detailing what she's been through since 2006. And for those of you with ME, CFS, fibromyalgia, I always feel we're like a family because we know what we're going through. It's very difficult for people without this condition. They look at us, we look kind of normal, and then they think we're also tired. We also have aches and pains, but it's so different. So Cindy, thank you so much for coming on the show to talk with us. Can you tell us a little bit about your journey, maybe what you did before, who you are, just a little bit to have a better background?
Sure. I got that. I got ME in 2006 when I was in my early 50s, I think. And before that, I had been very outgoing, very active. I had an active social life with my girlfriends, and I was married at the time and for like 20 some odd years. Loved my neighborhood, loved my life. And then uh, I got a flu of some sort, and it just knocked me off my feet for about 6 solid months, to the point where you know how it is. I was unable to get out of bed, um, except to attend to my most basic needs. Uh, and then after 6 months, it didn't go away, but it did get a little better. So from there, I was able to explain to my then husband what's going on in my head and my body, because the poor guy was very frustrated because I was just a lump. And I had to explain to him a few times that, sweetie, I understand it's difficult for a normal person to talk to me because I don't get it. I don't understand conversations anymore to the degree that I used to. After that, he took care of me as best he could. He brought me my meals, and he paid the bills. And then after about, 10 years or so of this, he he took up with a much younger woman at work, somebody who was probably 5 years old when he and I got married back in 1985. After that, life was not happy, pretty hellish. Lots of gaslighting and lies and money going missing and all this. And I thought, oh my God, I can't divorce him because I don't want to move into a nursing home. I would do anything rather than move into a nursing home. So I toughed it out for another year. And finally, I thought, after another session of gaslighting, I think I would rather face anything other than living with a man that I no longer respect and no longer love. So we divorced. We are amicable. He comes over once a week to take out my trash to the sidewalk. So as it is right now, my average day consists of lying in bed all the time, like 24 hours, 7 days a week, and doing as much as I can, which is not very much. It's also as little as I can. So I've learned a lot of things about myself, not all of which I liked, but that's just the way it is.
No, you're amazing and so strong, and you've been through a lot also alongside on the personal side there. And I wanted is there anything in the past years that you found that was particularly helpful for you to have a little bit more energy or get through your day a bit better? Because similar to you, especially at the beginning when I was clueless and you spend so many hours in bed, is also to pass the time is really difficult. You're stuck in a body, and it's stuck, and it's the energy is drained. It's any wisdom you can share with us here?
Stuck in a body is a wonderful description. You mentioned to me earlier that you were in university when this hit you, and that you were a cyclist, and that you dated. And I can well imagine that that's probably not the case. I doubt that yeah, I didn't think so. So, how did I get through my day? Um, I tried various remedies, acupuncture and Western medicine and chiropractic, all sorts of things. And the only thing that has improved my energy at all is taking vitamins.
Any particular vitamins that you felt, for example, for me, really high dosage of vitamin D3 with K2, and magnesium, I take them kind of together with zinc, that make some improvement to me, and it's wonderful. It took me a long time to understand that for me, the 5,000 daily units they recommend is now I need like 30,000 or 50,000 or 100,000 sometimes for a period. I take it and I stop, and then again. And it really helped me with my sleep, and then with my energy. It's really helped because for me, I don't sleep. It's very difficult for me to gain any sleep. But for you, anything that particularly worked?
Well, yes, the vitamins you mentioned, vitamin D and magnesium, was an incredible help, especially for the first 6 months where I had fever every day, all day. I was sweating a lot, so I sweated out a lot of magnesium, which meant that I got incredible muscle cramps. And it took me a while to put two and two together. Um, so yeah, D, magnesium, calcium, which is nature's painkiller and goes hand in hand with magnesium, and B vitamins to help the thinking and the nerve endings, which are, of course, all on fire.
Anything that helped the brain fog, because for me, more than the pains and aches, the fatigue, which are all the ability, but the brain fog, you can't do nothing when there is nobody up here to negotiate with, to do something. You mentioned in the email concentration, and is there anything you found that can help a little bit with these things that worked for you?
Brain fog was a big deal, just like with you. I missed my marbles. I missed my brain. I missed thinking. In particular, I missed that light bulb moment that used to come on when I would understand something. I mean, who doesn't love to learn? I'm a student of human nature just as a hobby, and that didn't happen. But what I did find was that the less I exerted myself physically before I tried to do something mentally, uh, the physical exertion turned out to be too much. So if I know I'm going to need my brain, I just take it easy for, the whole morning or whatever. Because once my body gets tired, my brain gets tired too.
That makes sense. I think they say the brain like consumes fifth of the body calories, or the intake of calories, really calorie hungry. So I guess that makes sense with energy. And maybe something that I struggle with more in recent years. So you are from 2006. My life-changing symptoms started in 2007, and I think at the first few years, up to maybe 3, 4, 5 years ago, I was still full of hope. I'm going to get 100% better. I had lots of dreams and aspirations to help societies in my own ways and contribute to the world, and maybe through academia and community centers, all kinds of ideas. And as I see these things are slipping away from me, are there any things you tell yourself that are motivating, both to stay positive that we will get better, or that with our existence it's very difficult to see that life is beautiful and it's great, and I was always such a positive person, and I'm still kind of positive, but sometimes I feel it's a little bit pointless. I'm just stuck in this body. Of course I'm better now, but it's like I'm teased. My body is a little bit better, but I can't learn new things. I forget everything. I mix things. My energy is still, I'm able to kind of live. Before, when I was just in bed, I just knew I'm in bed, I'm just healing, or I'm sick. Now I'm a little bit better, and in a sense it feels worse because I feel I'm close to do something or might be able, but as soon as I try it, I kind of fail and forget what I tried to learn the next day. Anything you learned there?
I totally get what you're saying. Once I realized that part of my problem was that I felt useless, I felt like I was a burden, and I tried within my energetic limitations to make myself useful, and that turned out to be not the case. It's hard to be useful when you're lying in bed all day. So I had to really examine, why am I here? What is my purpose in life? And after much thought, I came to two conclusions. One is, you're here to love and be loved. Number two, you're here to live and learn. And it took me months and months and months and months and months to sort of let go of all of my aspirations. But once I narrowed it down to those two things and realized that everything else is just a framework, your job is a framework in which you can live and learn. Your home is a framework in which you can love and be loved, that kind of thing. I had to switch my focus from being productive to being educated, illuminated, to being loving and learning what I could.
That is so helpful, and this is the highlight of this episode, and maybe of this podcast. It's and I'm so grateful you coming on the show, because sometimes you're right. From being productive, I was mentoring at the university, psychology, studying, and some even teaching at some point some psychology models, and going from that to being, and I was always a tidy, clean person, and my house was always, everything was washed and folded and vacuumed and mopped and put away, and now if I have guests coming, they would like be, Idan, what's going on with you? Do you need help to put things? It just all looks such a mess and a chaos, and it's even to put the washing away, or the dishes, the dishwasher has washed it, it's clean, but just to put it a minute in the, it's such a task. I just so yeah, learning to love and accept all of it is
Yeah.
really,
Yeah.
Please expand on that concept a little bit more for us.
Okay. Yeah, I experienced the same thing as you've been going through, which is my house just went to heck in a handbasket. Uh, Even now, I have a pile of clean clothes on my bed, really, really high. Uh, I've got clean dishes in the dishwasher that need to be put away. I found two things that helped. One is don't have people over. Okay, that helped. I've got one dear, dear girlfriend who comes over once a month. And just before she comes, the day before, not the hours before, but the day before, I'll straighten up the living room. But in between those times, one hint that has served me well is never walk into a room empty handed. So, in other words, if I'm going to walk from the living room to the bedroom, pick up something, one thing, nothing heavy, and take it. So, it helps to keep things picked up. In terms of keeping things scrubbed, oh my gosh, that is more of a challenge. So, yeah, uh, again, I had to very consciously lower my expectations of, gee, it's great to live in a clean house, but too bad for me because I can't keep it clean.
100%, 100%. I used to clean my bathroom, the glass from the stain, from the calcium, weekly at least. And now it's every few months on a month that I'm grateful that I can do for 5 minutes and then my fingers just falls apart.
I totally, totally get that. So again, it's a case of, oh, well, bye bye,
And
and
we
just
have to
get
laugh
used
at
to it. Yeah.
it. That's the only way to stay sane in this situation.
Yes, laughter helps a lot. Oddly enough, music helps lift my spirits. Speaking of that, because those times when I get really discouraged and really exhausted and really in pain and really brain fog, and I think, dear God, what am I doing here? Then I turn on YouTube. I watch Freddie Mercury and Queen perform at the oh gosh, what was that? The Hunger Aid uh, concert that
Oh,
happened a
yes.
number of years ago. And oh my gosh, Freddie Mercury was so full of life and so over the top and so talented. And that music was just irresistible. So whenever I get really down in the dumps, I'll put on Freddie Mercury and Queen.
You're right. It's music and it's a great band. And yeah, he was a real legend, this guy. So yeah, that's a good reminder. Um, and for people in relationships or that have family or friends or flat sharing or house share, do you know any tips we can help people to? It's very difficult for someone who love us or is. I remember at the beginning for my parents, even though I was not living with them, to see me deteriorating from such a fit, strong young guy who's so cool and does everything, to see me being reduced to housebound. It was so difficult for them to get their head around it. Um, is there anything you can share? And we'll wrap it up at there more or less. That something that we can help our friends and people around us, that how they can help us, if at all, or how to learn to tolerate the new weak form of ourselves.
I found two things helped. Number one is appreciation. They are waiting on us hand and foot. They're paying the bills. They're bringing us food. The second thing is to repeat from time to time how much you understand that it's difficult for them to communicate. I said to my then husband, look, you're a smart guy, and it must be very difficult for you to try to communicate with me when I'm like this. Because before, of course, the conversations were bam, 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 interesting and fun. And then I went into permanent slow motion, and I would kind of have to look at him for a little bit when he said something, or he might have to explain things. So every so often, I would just remind him when he would get impatient. I understand it's very difficult for normal people to talk to me now. And number two, I really appreciate you making the effort. Those are my only two tips. Just appreciate them.
You are so right, and it makes sense. And I guess we maybe some of us can forget. Yes, we are the sick one, we are the one struggling, but we are affecting not because we want to. It just happens that we're impacting their life, and even though we cannot blame ourselves and we shouldn't, but we can also only expect so much of them to understand. And by reminding them how sorry we are that we have changed and that we can't help it, but we really appreciate their help and being there and patient, I think it's a win-win strategy. I think it's a really nice one. Thank you for that.
Yes. Yeah. My sisters all live thousands of miles from me. And the only way that we would keep in touch is by phone and email. What I did not expect was how devastated they were, even thousands of miles away, that I couldn't talk to them on the phone anymore because I couldn't concentrate. And occasionally I would email them because you know how it is with email. You sit up, you write, and then you go lie down, and then you write some more. I had to reassure them, and I was really surprised at this. Don't take it personally. Uh, my sister, one of them came to visit me, and she says, I feel like I've lost a sister. And my first thought was, and you're asking me to shoulder this pain? Thanks a bunch. So I understood how she felt. I also realized that my emails didn't make a difference to her. That wasn't what she responded to. Um, so, yeah. And then the other thing I would comment about that is my then husband would ask, how are you? Every day. And I would tell him. But that's when I realized everybody has their limits. No matter how much they love me, they can't hear it every day. So I got to the point where I said, I'm hanging in there, but I won't tell you every day because otherwise you'll go crazy hearing the same thing every day. So I always just say, I'm hanging in there. How are you?
That's a very good, wise way to do it as well, for sure. You're right, it's difficult. Nobody likes to have someone else's illness. And it's just the way we are wired, I guess. And people want to help, and then, oh, it's still not good, still not good. Again, it's a year, and every day another 360. That makes sense, yeah.
Yeah, they have their limits. And when they reach the end of the line, I just have to acknowledge that they're not capable of giving me any more than they have.
Yeah, totally. And I wanted to say, with them speaking on the phone with ME fibromyalgia, I don't know if you had the lymph nodes here were really painful, and the throat is painful for years. It's like for years, for decades.
Yes.
2006 and 7 for me. In few years it will be 20 years. That it's a lot better now. I can't compare it to a few years ago. I did some changes and it's a lot better, but still, before I used to shout and scream and go to the park, parties, event, like everyone. And now I will speak with you this podcast, and then that is it. There is no more voice. The voice, I do one conversation on the phone a day, and the voice is disappeared. I can now do maybe 2 conversations on the phone, but it's very, very limited. It's it's amazing how we all feel the same. The symptoms are so, yet, and I guess what your sisters would struggle with is that some conditions, when you say, oh, I've got Parkinson's, I've got dementia, I've got this, they're all horrible and life-changing conditions, but people are so familiar with them and what to expect. When you say someone I've got ME, or if you say chronic fatigue syndrome, I think it's a derogatory name for our condition, in a sense that they just can't, there's no something to schema for them to understand what we're talking about.
Not only that, not only is there no schema, but it's a fairly recent, as you know, fairly recent diagnosis in medical history. When you and I first got it, if a doctor said, you have fibromyalgia, that's like a garbage diagnosis. It means, I don't know what's wrong with you and I don't know how to fix it. So, uh, yeah, people don't have a reference point, which is why I had to keep reminding them without nagging. I would love to join you at your party, but I can't guarantee I'll be able to get out of bed that day. 3 days ago, there was a neighborhood block party, for heaven's sakes, and it was right across the street. I couldn't get out of bed to go, so too bad for me. But I've gotten more acceptance as the years pass and as more people learn about fibromyalgia and that it's not just the yuppie flu. I think the turning point will be as soon as modern medicine develops a test, maybe a blood test or something, that says, why, yes, your mitochondria have a real problem absorbing energy. And here's an inoculation, and we'll cure you. That, I think, is what we're waiting for.
I agree, absolutely. And one more thing that the last thing we'll do is that you can never plan anything because you just don't know how you're getting up tomorrow. And
Yes.
you just don't know. It's every day. It's like tossing a die. I can't commit. I can't have a proper job or anything because who's going to accept that today I'm okay and I've had a great interview? Who says I'm going to wake up and be able to speak to speak properly to the interview? It's so difficult. And people who, like, I used to be on benefits, and it's so difficult to explain to the benefits office that kind of situation. But thankfully in the UK they were really great and forgiving for me, and they helped me with that. And it was so helpful that I was able, because I could never have found a job or maintain a job when you forget everything you taught the next day. You don't know how you wake up, if you can even turn up to work. So it's such a life-changing condition.
I am absolutely delighted to hear that the UK will give benefits to folks with fibromyalgia and chronic fatigue syndrome, because when I applied for benefits, disability, it took me 5.5 years and I still didn't get it because they thought I was making it all up because there are no tests that say, yes, Cindy has fibromyalgia. And yeah, you can't commit. It's difficult to commit to anything. More than once, I've had to cancel a doctor's appointment because I wake up feeling I can't move. I cannot get up and take a shower and go out in my street clothes. It's like your energy. Okay, most people have, let's say they wake up, they've got a cup of energy that they know that they can spend throughout the day. And then throughout the day, they spend the energy, it replenishes. But no, just as you said with us, we wake up, we don't know if we're going to have a cup of energy, but we might have a few drops of energy. We might have, especially in the morning, oh my goodness. So, yeah, being unable to make plans is is out the window.
Cindy, it was a pleasure having you, and maybe we'll do another one in the future. If anyone has another question for me or Cindy, leave us a comment below and we will try to address those in the future. For anyone going through this condition, you can do it. It's the only way. We have to do it. Try every day, just every day at a time, every minute, every hour at a time. And for those who support people who have similar condition to us, on their behalf, if they haven't said, we thank you for supporting them. It's really, really not easy.
Freddie Mercury has a song where he sings, I did the time, but I didn't do the crime. That's kind of how I feel. What did I do? But, that's life. That's just the way it is. But thank you for having me on.
Thank you, Cindy. So, see you everyone at the next episode.